Worldwide Lawyers Association is something we will be listening to and listen about for the next 10 minutes. Hüseyin Dişli and Hasan Basri Bülbül will be speaking about this.
Distinguished colleagues and dear participants, today we are going to speak about global legal solidarity with the Palestinian people, which is itself a call for global coordination for Palestinian liberation. When we speak of Palestine today, we speak of an ongoing Israeli genocide in Gaza and 77 years of uninterrupted Nakba, 77 years of incremental genocide, apartheid, dispossession, and the systematic denial of the most basic human rights and freedoms. Throughout these decades, international law and international community that claims to uphold it, including the UN, has failed the Palestinian people. Thus, our concern is not merely what the law is, but what law ought to become in a world that cannot and must not forgive, forget, or unsee the atrocities inflicted upon Palestinian people. The central question before us is what should be the role of lawyers, legal scholars, and legal communities in the struggle of Palestinian liberation. To speak of global legal solidarity is to reimagine the law itself, not as a static instrument of state power, but as a living terrain of resistance. International law, as many critical scholars remind us, was not broken by empire, it was built for it. Yet, it can be turned against its origins through coordinated critical praxis. Lawyers committed to Palestinian liberation must conceive of themselves globally as a single coordinated legal organism, developing incremental victories, interlocking cases, and complementary strategies across jurisdictions to form a coherent and cumulative legal movement. Fragmentation has proven fatal. The proliferation of uncoordinated, substandard filings that end in publicity rather than progress give the appearance of activity while undermining real accountability. Solidarity must therefore be deliberate and studied, anchored in coordination, shared standards, and political clarity. We must build a global legal infrastructure capable of serving Palestinian liberation, not merely addressing or representing Palestinian suffering. So the first pillar of solidarity is accountability. But accountability must move beyond litigation as a ritual of punishment. It must become an architecture for truth, restitution, and transformation. Strategic and offensive litigation against perpetrators of genocide, war crimes, remains indispensable. Yet, legal action must also target the structures that sustain those crimes, the corporate networks, financial flows, and diplomatic shields that enable Zionist impunity. As articulated in the Gaza Tribunal legal sessions, accountability must be infrastructural, designed to dismantle criminal networks globally under frameworks like joint criminal enterprise-style liability. We must then pursue comprehensive documentation of all Palestinian injuries. We must integrate reparations into every accountability framework. We must develop centralized evidence tracking systems. We must expand universal jurisdiction filings. Accountability must also seek societal catharsis, acknowledging that justice is not only about punishing crimes, but dismantling their causes. Genuine liberation demands that law pierce the surface of violence to expose its ideological roots, genocidal tendencies, racial supremacy, colonial property regimes, and imperial immunity.
Distinguished colleagues, members of the tribunal, and comrades in justice. My colleague Hasan has delivered the first part of the speech, and I continue from where he left. He mentioned the first pillar of solidarity as accountability, under which I would like to add just a statement, which is that after advisory opinion, July 2024, no lawyer solely collect only criminal testimonies or evidences. Because as granted in the advisory opinion, Palestinians has a right to reparations. And any lawyer or any member of legal profession conducting this work from now on shouldn't neglect collecting civil claims, any material loss that Palestinians were sacrificed, that they sacrificed. As the second pillar concern of legal solidarity is protection, both as legal defense and as a solidarity infrastructure. Across Gaza and the occupied territories, the Palestinian legal community itself is under annihilation. This is not rhetoric. This is a material annihilation, coordinated and deliberate. In Gaza, the legal infrastructure has been systematically erased. According to the report of the Palestinian Bar Association a few months ago, their headquarters in Gaza flattened. More than 215 lawyers killed, 220 injured, 907 law offices destroyed, courts completely suspended, over 3,400 lawyers displaced, thousands living in tents or makeshift shelters, their archives incinerated, their families grieving. Lawyers are not there only to protect their individual or corporate clients, but also there to protect and defend the rights of their nation and people. To destroy lawyers, Palestinian lawyers, is to destroy the very capacity for self-determination and liberation. Therefore, global legal solidarity must prioritize protection of Palestinian plaintiffs and legal workers who face surveillance, prosecutions, arrests, assassination for pursuing justice, or simply supporting their people. And they are being prosecuted with the accusations of terrorism. We should provide them an international legal accompaniment. Foreign lawyers appearing beside Palestinian claimants will create a literal shield, reducing risks through visibility. Another angle under this is capacity building. Capacity building of Palestinian legal community. We must channel resources, funding, and international partnerships to rebuild law faculties, courts, and legal archives in Gaza and across occupied Palestine. Support employment, training, and protection of Palestinian lawyers, judges, law students, and scholars, many of whom are unemployed, displaced, or endangered with magnificent skills. Defending the defenders globally is a must. Opposing the US sanctions that criminalize Palestinian human rights organizations and ICC officials. These sanctions constitute a legal counterinsurgency, which is an assault on the very idea of accountability. Protection, however, is not charity. It's a co-struggle. As Noura Erakat has argued yesterday, the Genocide Convention omits the cultural and political distraction and legal distraction, yet these are integral to genocide's totalizing aim. Protecting Palestinian legal institutions and community is therefore an act of anti-genocidal resistance for self-determination. The third pillar is legal diplomacy. The use of law as a diplomatic weapon and diplomacy as a vehicle for law. Our collective efforts must merge legal expertise with political coordination. This includes diplomatic briefings and informal bloc coordinations, tailoring legal memorandums to friendly states to Palestine, advising them on litigation, sanctions, and multilateral defense strategies. Mobilizing diplomatic blocs to enforce arms and trade embargoes against Israel, invoking obligations under ICJ rulings. Dignifies self-reliance and mass organizing is a must. Therefore, it's essential that interstate initiatives such as Hague Group and international civil initiatives should be supported by legal profession. By providing legal frameworks and models to turn these alliances into an economic alliance which is autonomous and self-reliant and immune from colonial sanctions. Without building these economic protection mechanisms, states and civil societies' capacity to take concrete actions will deem to be limited. Advocating for the reinstatement of Resolution 3379, equating Zionism with racism, as you know, which was revoked later on. This is a cornerstone for redefining global anti-racism norms, working towards legislations across multiple jurisdictions based on this definition and identifying to support for Zionism as a hate crime. Legal diplomacy is not symbolic lobbying. It's a counter-hegemonic coordination, transforming international law from a theater of impunity into a field of resistance. To conclude, friends, the task before us is immense and clarity is power. The destruction of Gaza's legal community, criminalization of international advocacy, and the global campaign to erase Palestinian agency all testify one truth. Justice itself is under siege. When lawyers are killed for defending victims, when judges are sanctioned for issuing warrants, when law is punished for seeking justice, then the very promise of law stands in ruins. But ruins are also foundations. From them, we can build a legal order grounded in solidarity, in decolonial politics and ethics, and in the inviolable dignity of every people living within. Global legal solidarity with Palestine is not an act of charity, it's a defense of law and justice itself, of its possibility, its purpose, and its future. Our duty is clear: to hold the criminals to account, to protect the defenders, to coordinate across borders, to train, mobilize, and unite. And to do all this not as fragments, but as a coordinated movement, as if a global legal organism acting for liberation of Palestine and Global South. From when Palestine is liberated, law, especially international law, will finally begin to mean justice. Thank you.